My name's Gary Leeke and I'm working on the project called EXHUME, which we're looking at the recycling and reuse of composite materials, in particular carbon fibre and glass fibre. Okay, so I lead the project, so I'm PI on it. So I'm a reader in low carbon technologies at the University of Birmingham, and I got involved in the project via a sandpit event, EPSRC sandpit, and I lead the project, as I said, with along Cranfield, Exeter and Manchester universities. So I'm looking at processing, largely I'm a chemical engineer, so we're looking at processing techniques to transform existing materials into new materials, and the other partners are chipping in. So Cranfield are looking at optimization techniques in remanufacture, so looking at how scrap is produced and how we can actually use that cross-sector. Manchester looking at the life cycle. Is it really worth recycling in the first place? You're told it's a good thing to do, but when you look at it, sometimes it's not actually a good thing to do. The economics or the environmental impact dictate whether this is a viable option. And Exeter are looking at the material microstructure, so can we re-engineer and remanufacture materials from recycled materials? Do they have the same qualities, and if they don't, why don't they, and how can we implement new standards into industry? Resource efficiency is a new thing for me, so coming from a chemical engineer, you're always aware that you need to look at your mass flows, your energy flows in a process and try and minimise them, and I suppose looking at resource efficiency is more global than that. It's a bigger thing than just looking at a process. It's looking at the whole, the way we use materials and how we interact with them, and then what do we do with them at the end. So that's, I suppose, for me, that's the exciting thing about doing resource efficiency, is moving from just a chemical process, looking at a more complex animal, really. It's working with people. I think people are the key things. I think if you've got a good team, we push each other on, we drive each other along. I say that the people and getting the results at the end of it, sometimes it takes a long time to get results. It's challenging, trying to get people to do things that they're supposed to do, but doing something totally different, but coming up with an exciting result that you haven't even considered is, I suppose, the most exciting thing, really. I'd say largely industry. We're trying to implement new standards, as I've said, but so you can, with recycling, when you start to recycle something, people say, well, is it really worth it? There's no real businesses out there. It actually grows businesses. There's a new business sector emerging around recycling, as there was with paper when we started recycle paper, recycle plastics. Now people are starting to think, well, recycling composites, where are they going to go, who's going to process them, and it starts to generate business opportunities. So I'd say business is probably the key one, but society as well, in the environment. We can no longer put composites into landfill from 2016, so what we're going to do with them. So we need to be looking at that, and the reuse of the materials back into the circular economy. So nothing's getting put into the ground or burned, which is probably the worst thing you can do, but we're actually re-engineering and restructuring products. Tricky question. Obviously the project will end, but I think it will have some longevity. I think we're trying to, as I said, work with industry, trying to get new standards implemented, working with the Composite Leadership Forum in government, trying to get them to put in money in place for businesses to start developing themselves. So I think by 2020, hopefully the research that we've done and the public engagement, telling them about the research, will start that ball rolling, the snowball getting bigger and bigger, and by 2020 I think we'll have some businesses working in the recycling composites.